Louw, this is, I don't know, the umpteenth year for you at Nampo, but this has got to be the biggest one.
By surface area, we've never had as big an exhibition of agricultural equipment and accessories to agricultural equipment in the history of Nampo Harvest Day. Yes, it is the biggest. Numbers-wise, it looks as though we're going for at least to equal last year's extremely high attendance figures. And rest assured, this is a process that will never end. Agriculture is going to become more and more important, and the technology that is afforded by science and technology across the world will be on exhibition to the agricultural sector at the Nampo Harvest Day, because it is of such critical importance given the fact that we need a double up of food production by 2050, and that there is going to be a large amount of money to be made out of sustainable commodity production in agriculture, in the agricultural industry worldwide, given the massive demands, and it is going to become a growth point, even more important than it is right now. South Africans have and enjoy the privilege, not the right, the privilege of food security, which many other people in the world do not have. And it is on the shoulders of an agricultural sector that has an exhibition of this magnitude that this is achieved.
You and I have walked down this path of change and youth coming into agriculture. It's a very important path to have walked, isn't it? And we haven't stopped. We've not even got probably a toe on the pavement only.
Well, the realities are not only the youth need an education in what is the latest in agriculture. The politicians that have visited this terrain in this past week, that in actual fact have been, it's a mind-boggling experience for even senior citizens of our society as to the massive technological advances the agricultural sector has made, and that we need to convey this message to the youth that agriculture is the place to be, and that it is sexy, and there will be financial gain to be made out of the agricultural sector, and that it is a growth point given the fact that very soon the demand for agricultural commodities will be outstripped by the supply. And the reality is that the emphasis on agriculture and sustainable production will become ever more important, the greater debate as to the future of humanity on the face of Earth.
Over the last 2 or 3 years, are you disappointed with the actions and the performance of the ministry?
I am disillusioned. I am disillusioned and terribly, terribly saddened by the massive levels of corruption that have been committed in the name of freedom. I reject what has happened to the agricultural sector, the vindictive nature of the comment about the agricultural sector in itself, where the true merits of the individual make very little difference. Once again, we're back at the old colour issue, and we need, as a nation, for the greater good, to rise above the levels of basic South African dungeon politic to address the challenges that face us, and we can only do so if we cooperate across all sectors of society for the greater good of humanity and all South Africans. And if we can achieve that, yes, there will be a rosy future for us in South Africa. But we must not become despondent as to the situation we find ourselves in, because it is mere men and women that have created it, and mere men and women of our stature will redress these issues by virtue of the fact that I know that at the end of the day, the voice of reason will prevail, because South Africans like of my ilk and of millions of others across the colour line feel as disillusioned and disappointed about where South Africa finds itself right now.
Are you happy with the path that Grain SA is going on as chairman?
Grain South Africa is a shining light, in my opinion, in a pretty dark scenario in our society, where there's been transformation within the organisation, where the leadership understand the non-racial dictates of our future in South Africa, where our leadership understands that we need to transform the organization, where we have wonderful people of color that now serve in the structures of our organization, both as farmer leaders and as personnel of the organization, of whom I am extremely proud. People that have projected themselves as moderate South Africans, that we in actual fact, out of this agricultural sector that is rather renowned for its anti-South African image, rather than for the greater good image that we're now trying to strive to project, that we at the end of the day will be able to prove to civil society that there's been a massive change, and that we're changing because we want to, because we need to, because our constitution dictates that we should do, and that is where we're headed within Grain South Africa.
I'm going to finish up like this on Grain South Africa. There are still some rotten apples in the barrel, and always will be, unfortunately. But if we look at some disillusioned people within the organisation, what would the message you'd be giving to them today say? Because some of them are saying, no, I'm going to give up, I'm pulling away. We don't want that. We need to stick together even more now than ever before. So what's the message you're going to leave for me?
The message I will leave for you is the message that I got from my late father, Jan Steytler, who in my opinion was one of the men that broke the norm of society, that stood by the courage, with courage and conviction to his personal wish that South Africa evolve into a non-racial society with a constitution, because at the end of the day, it is the only way that we can govern a country of this magnitude and beauty. The reality is, I will refer you to his message and to the message that I received from Advocate Bezos, who is our senior legal advisor as to the interpretation of our constitutional rights and more. And I will say to you, don't give up, because I'm not.